Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot and thanks for joining me today. Great to have you with me. So today we are looking at how the other person feels about you. And we're going to break that down by looking at their circumstances, getting a sense of how they feel and how they think about you. We'll also look at you and where you're at with this particular person, but we'll also look at a future timeline. So what are the outcomes between the two of you? Now, before we get started, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. So before you on the screen, we have 4 different cards. And the idea is to choose a card that resonates with you most clearly. Once you've made your choice, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one card if it comes to you really strongly. And just remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. We've got card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, and card number 4. Now, to get you in the mood to make a choice of your cards, a quick guided meditation. So feet firmly on the ground and taking in a single nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, just letting go of any tension that you might be holding from within, clearing the mind, and focusing in on the cards before you on the screen. Which of these cards has the strongest resonance for you? Is it card 1, card 2, card 3, or card 4? Down below, there are 4 different timestamps. If you would like to go to the timestamp that represents your card, I'll see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 1. This is your reading, and today we are looking at how the other person feels about you, what's going on with them, how do they feel. Now let's get started, and I'm drawn up here to the Devil and the Knight of Cups. I feel that this is somebody who's really motivated to get your attention. This is somebody who is very attracted to you in a way where they're really putting themselves out there in a way that is almost a bit attention-seeking, really. My sense is that this is somebody who could be a kind of a bad boy or a bad girl, you know, a bit naughty, but also really nice. You know, there's something really sweet at the center in terms of their very heartfelt nature. But at the same time, it's wrapped up in a bit of a kind of risky package that speaks a lot of I think insecurity, but also risk-taking behavior that wants to have a bit of fun. This is somebody who's very motivated as well. I get a very passionate person, so this is someone who really likes you very much. In fact, the heartstrings are definitely fluttering for them. They feel quite enamored by you in a way where they've got the pangs of love. You know, the Knight of Cups is all about love becoming mobilized. It's the idea of love on foot. So it's moving forward in a way where, you know, they're putting themselves out there to say, hey, here I am. I want your attention. I really like you. I'm really into you. I have really good feelings about you and I'd like to connect with you. And I'd like to explore what's going on. But the Devil is a card of restriction. You know, it pulls things back. There's not a free-flowing nature to the Devil. It's a bit controlled. And obviously the Devil's really naughty. You know, the Devil does really bad things, whether they're kind of fun or not. So there is an element of trust that could be questionable here. I think if this is somebody who feels that they're on the wrong end of your intentions, like, you know, if they're bad intentions, then they could be quite defensive. But then again, on the other side of it, you know, this is just somebody who's really motivated, very ambitious. You know, the Devil is a card of definite motivation. You know, it's an ambitious card with very strong energy that won't give up to get whatever it wants. And my sense is that this is a person who's really trying to get your attention. and who really likes you and feels a bit enamored by you in a very heartfelt way. And if I come down here to the Chariot and the Queen of Swords, I feel these two cards represent where you're at the moment. I get a sense that for some of you, perhaps you've come out of a relationship, a previous relationship, and you're not really not quite sure what direction you're taking at the moment. You're trying to make your mind up one way or the other. It's really for you, it's about resolving conflict that's happened before you. The Queen of Cups is all about pain from the past. It's a card that cuts away from conflict. It's a card that knows suffering. And it has broad shoulders, but it's definitely a card that is experiencing sorrow. It's coupled with the Chariot, and the Chariot is all about a direction. It's about moving forwards. It's about taking control and driving ourselves towards success. The two cards coupled, I kind of get a sense that at the moment you're really focusing in on yourself in a way where you're looking to get back on track. You're motivated to make a success out of yourself, moving on from pain, moving on from difficulty, moving on from conflict. And at the same time, kind of feel like you have a heavy heart from something that's happened before you. So immediately, the two of you are kind of, not matching up in terms of being on the same page. And I get a sense that this other person knows that in a way where they're very cautious about what's going on for you, and they know the limitations as to, possibility of connecting in on you with you. Coming over here to the Emperor and the Seven of Swords, I feel that this other person, once again, very much trying to get your attention. This is a really resourceful person. I think this is somebody who can do some shady things, do some dodgy deals. It ties back in with this bad boy, bad girl, feeling or image. It's somebody who really knows how to get what they want, but also really knows how to make things happen. This is a mover and shaker type of character. I get a sense that they really feel that there could be somebody else in the picture with you, or that circumstantially, things aren't in their favor, that their efforts are essentially being undermined because of something that's happened around you or that's happening with you at this point in time. Once again, the Emperor is a really ambitious, very strong card in terms of a drive to reach a successful outcome. It's all about taking control, and it's about realizing your ambitions, your motivations to reach the top, to be successful in whatever your endeavors are. I think the two of you have actually got some very common features, common characteristics in terms of nature. I think you're both very driven people. I think you both know how to make things happen. I think you're both very focused individuals, and you both like to be in control, definitely. But coming back over here to this character with the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Swords is all about resourcefulness. It's about plundering the depths of whatever is at your hands to really use those opportunities or resources in a way that that get you whatever it is that you want. It's all there for the taking, and sometimes you have to do a dodgy deal in order to make a success out of things. And I don't really feel that this is somebody who really cares whether they look good or whether they look bad. According to their behavior. I think this is just somebody who, for me, I feel this is somebody who's actually quite street smart. There's a lot of raw energy here. Yeah, very, very, very. This is a very big personality. This is somebody who has strong energy, and I think at times it can be a little bit too much. I think you have to be in the mood for it, maybe in smaller doses, or and certainly there's a lot of insecurity there with this person. This is somebody who. I think if they're having a bad day, you're going to know about it. And I don't think that'd be too much fun to hang around with. But they definitely really are very much into you. They feel very enamored by you. There's they've definitely got a soft spot for you in terms of feeling. And for me, that's it's love for me. I kind of really feel this person is actually quite taken by you in a way where they feel very passionate about who it is that you are, and they really want to get your attention. And I think you've really distracted them in a way where, they just want you to be a part of their world. And I think they do anything that they could possibly do to really achieve that. But they certainly know the limitations. Coming back down here to the Hangman and the Queen of Wands. And I feel for you at the moment, though, I think you're just pulling right back. You're having a look at what's going on in your world. I don't think you have a lot of energy to put into anything at this time. The Queen of Wands is very reserved in its energy. It's also using intuitive force. And the Hangman is a card of perspective and looking at what's going on and maybe what it is you need to actually sacrifice in order for things to move forward. And I think that either way you look at this, I think that you're just not feeling the same feelings for this person. And that for you, you just don't intuitively feel that you really want to give this too much in a way that takes away from you, takes energy away from you, or forces you to make sacrifices. I think you're really quite distracted with other things that are going on in your world. I think that you're moving on from what it is that's happened before you, that suffering and burden of perhaps sorrow that I was picking up on before. Maybe it's time, maybe at this time, you're looking ahead, you're looking forward in a way where you're trying to be constructive about what you need to do for yourself in order to get back up on your own 2 feet. So where is this all going? Coming over here to the Magician and the Three of Swords. My sense is that this person is not going to give up on you, though. The Magician, it's all about striking things into action, seeing opportunity, trying to use all of your resources in order to make it happen, kicking it into shape, really. It's very motivated in terms of its focus. It is a card that sees opportunity and goes for it. It doesn't hold back. So I really feel that this is somebody who is going to keep a fire burning for you. They see this potential in who it is that you are, how it is they feel about you. I don't feel this is somebody who takes no for an answer. It's coupled with, the Magician is coupled with the Three of Swords, and the Three of Swords is a card of heartache. It's sorrow. My feeling is that it's he, they, she are looking back. The swords are always looking back to the past, looking back to the past again over to here, and they see the limitations in their ability to have something that's very honest with you on a kind of one-to-one level. The Devil is not a card that evokes honesty. It's a card that is very insecure. You're not having a heart-to-heart, one-to-one conversation with the Devil. You're kind of at odds with each other. And for this person, it makes them want you even more. I think what they can't have, they want it even more. So they become quite driven about that. But coming back over here to the outcome in terms of the Magician and the Three of Swords, I kind of feel that this is just an ongoing heartache for them. That they really want to be with you, but they know that they can't be with you. However, they can't stop their drive, because of who it is that they are, to actually make an effort to be with you. But coming down here to the Empress and the King of Swords, for me, I feel like you're making an executive decision in terms of the outcome here. You're saying, no, I don't want to be with this person. I need to go into self-protection mode. I've been hurt once, or been, probably more appropriately, hurt previously, not that long ago, and I'm just not going to put myself into a position where I become vulnerable. And I think, you have a lot of questions around the trust with this person. There is something else here for me as well. I think you're quite a refined individual. You're very sophisticated in your understanding of how the world works. You've got a very self-aware nature. You are very mapped out of yourself in terms of understanding who it is that you are, how it is that you work, and you have I think you have quite a sort of, a sharp perspective in terms of how the world works. This other person is very street smart, but you're very savvy in terms of summing it all up. And for you, I think that, maybe you'd chew this person up and spit them out if you gave them a chance. Perhaps what I'm feeling here is that they are very raw in what they've got to offer. They don't have the refinement or the sophistication to engage you in a way that is intelligent or intellectual. And so for me, you're moving on in a way where you're saying, no, it's a definite no. I know what I've got to work with here. This is not what I want to do. It's quite black and white for you. The Empress is a card of generating results. It's also a card of maternity. It's about having kids. Maybe this isn't, prospect material in terms of having a family. But I wonder whether you even want kids anyway. The King of Swords is very much sort of black and white. It's about cutting away from things, cutting away from the idea of maternity, perhaps if you were thinking about having kids. But coming back to the point, you're taking control, you're moving on. Is there anything that needs to be resolved here? There is one thing for me, and I'm going to bring you in another card just to kind of wrap this up. Release your ex. The time has come to clear your energy. Now, I feel this is a really, really poignant card. I feel that you've moved on from a previous relationship, but I don't feel that you resolve that in a kind of heartfelt way, in terms of the outcome on that. And that is affecting your ability to be able to engage with anybody in a very honest way, where you can open up and be vulnerable. And I think until you actually get to a point where you're really clear about what it is that's happened and you resolve that pain or that insecurity or that vulnerability, having anybody, on the map, or in your field of vision in terms of relationship material is going to be really difficult. So, some self-preservation is needed here. And I think there are some issues that need to be worked through on that particular level. But coming back to you and this other person, for me, I just don't see the love here from your part. I feel it from the other side, but I don't feel it from yours. In fact, I think you really know where you stand, and I think you have from the beginning. And if I was you, I would be a little bit more efficient about this and just not waste too much time. Hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. And on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that are already posted and keep an eye out for those that are up and coming. Thank you and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 2. This is your reading and we are looking at how the other person feels about you today. So we've got the cards on the table and we're ready to go. Let's jump straight in. I'm drawn straight over here to the High Priestess and Page of Pentacles, and I feel like this is looking more into the past that kind of reaches to this particular point. This other person has really hoped for something really a bit more solid with you, I think. I think they've got quite a practical nature. They really like to map things out in a way where it's a bit black and white, which to some people might be boring, but for other people, it just really, this is somebody who's looking for really obvious signs. They're not good with being subtle. And, sometimes, with a person like this, you really need to kind of hit them over the head with a brick to really, to get their attention and to spell it out so that they've got it loud and clear. I definitely get a feeling that this person has felt very uncertain about where things are moving with you. You've certainly captured their attention. They've been really hoping for something more solid in terms of moving forward. But I think for them, they felt that it's been a bit, like a bit vague. There's a lot of uncertainty in terms of, whether this has, a greater potential than they think that it really has. And I think they're a bit in their head about what is possible here, not so much in their heart. So I think they get a little bit limited in terms of what they think is possible based on being so practical about things. The High Priestess is a card of the future. It's all about what's up ahead, really. And, but it's a vague card, a very uncertain card. The future is veiled. We don't know what's going on in the future. We might have a hint according to, instincts or the way things seem to be rolling in terms of momentum with any particular opportunity. And I think that this person has definitely felt that, there's something here between the two of you. But the Page of Pentacles is really about the nuts and bolts of things. It's about how things work. So it's about understanding and learning. And so they've really wanted to learn how things are going to move into the future. They've wanted it to be obvious and to be clear, almost to be mapped out in a way that seems a bit more obvious to them, because they're not good at reading the subtlety of how things work. If I come down here to the Hangman and the Ten of Swords, I feel these two cards have represented where you've been at. I feel like you've been in not such a great place, which has probably added into why this person has felt a little bit vague as to where things are going and why they might have wanted a clear sign as to what's happening for you personally. I think you've been quite pulled back. I think you've had something that's gone on in your world that has left you feeling a little bit disappointed, maybe defeated. Perhaps there is a previous relationship. Look, the Ten of Swords is all about, being backstabbed. It's about defeat. It's about the things that have come up against us and stopped us from getting what we want. It's a card of the past. So for me, it's about what you've brought from your past to this particular connection with this person. And the Hangman is a card that pulls back. It doesn't give anything. It's stopped. And it's a very meditative pose. It's introverted in a way where it's really contemplating, what's going on within yourself, but also within situations. So if you pair these two cards together, I think you've been very focused on things that have been going wrong previously to this particular connection. In a way where, it has stopped you from getting what you want, and maybe you're still digesting all of that in a way that, is trying to understand, whether you're clear on what you want really. But there feels like there's some baggage there, and that doesn't have to mean a bad thing. It just means that, you've been processing some stuff that's been going on in your world, and you haven't been able to give, the whole idea with the Hangman, it's about making sacrifices in order for things to get lift or to move forward in a way. And I just don't think that you've had the time, the energy, or the effort to make those sacrifices with this particular connection, because, you've had a lot to sift through. Coming up here to Justice and the Queen of Cups, this is where we're at the moment with this other person. But, I'm going to be honest with you, there's absolutely no doubt here that this person really has some very strong feelings for you. I think in many cases, this is somebody who actually really loves you, okay? Queen of Cups is really up there on the order in terms of how somebody feels in the connection of love. This is a very sensitive individual, a very caring person. I think they're very sympathetic to what's been going on for you. There's great empathy in the Queen of Cups. They're very focused on giving and nurturing, and it's coupled with justice though. And I think this person has really been looking at everything that's been going on up to this particular point in a way where they've been trying to get a balanced understanding, to be able to give a fair and just, focus or decision-making process, about you and what's going on for you. And I think they've really taken into consideration that you've had a lot going on for you in a way where perhaps you have been incredibly distracted, and that maybe it's not possible to be with you at this particular point. I think there's been a lot of uncertainty, so they've been really focused in on the facts, the figures, trying to assess where things are at, trying to get a balance of how they feel in accordance to what's going on for you. But this thing of care is really strong, very empathetic, very sensitive individual. But I feel that there's it's come to a tipping point for them. Things have been too vague. There hasn't been a grab. You've perhaps been very preoccupied with what's been going on for you in a way where they're starting to think, well, what do I need to do? I need to make a decision one way or the other. I can't be in limbo. The future's felt really vague for a really long time, and I need to get decisive. This is somebody who is really practical. I think that's really important to highlight. This is a serious person, very practical individual. I also felt that they were very materially insecure. I wondered if there was some real uncertainty about what's going on for them in terms of their financial world. The Page of Pentacles is all about money and security. It's also a card of study. But it's once again, it's coupled with the High Priestess. It's about the uncertainty of what's going up ahead in the future with money and finances, feeling that things might be precarious, uncertain. And, the Page of Pentacles is a very limited potential in terms of its financial capacity. So perhaps this person's felt very insecure about what's going on for them in their material world. it's added a lot of weight to where they're at because they're rationalizing a lot of what's going on here. Coming down here to strengths and the King of Cups. Once again, I kind of feel, how you feel about this person is very reflective of how they feel you. Really strongly emotionally attached, very tied in with this person. I think you have an enormous love for them. The King of Cups is once again right up there. This is the Queen of Hearts and this is the King of Hearts. This is like a match made in heaven in terms of feeling. You both really meet each other on a very equal level as far as your feelings are concerned. Yeah. But where things don't match up is how you express that. And for me, what I see here is a person that is really pulled back in terms of expressing the feelings that you have for this other person. Strength is a card of restraint. It's about fine-tuning your focus or your output in a way that it's refining your feelings of love, most certainly. But it's all about keeping it back, pulling it back, raising the energy. It's very passionate. It's very strong in terms of its expression, but it's coupled also with the King of Cups, who is very uncomfortable with expressing feeling. So the restraint of strength and the nature of the King of Cups is somebody who feels very strongly about this other person, but which is unable to express that fully in a way that is articulate or maybe lets the other person know clearly where you're at. So where's this all going? I think for me, coming up here to Death and the Four of Pentacles, I feel that this person is going into a self-protective mode. They're closing down. I feel that for them, they felt that things are too uncertain for too long, and that they've come to a point where they're starting to make a decision to withdraw from their connection to you because they're just not sure about how you really feel. They're looking at what's happened for you in the past. I think coupled with the idea that you're not fully expressive of how you feel about them, they feel that there isn't a chance, and that for them, they feel the security lies within actually standing on their own 2 feet and looking after themselves. Okay, there's a lot of uncertainty around this person at the moment as well. I kind of felt perhaps there was a potential of loss for this person. For some of you, maybe this person's actually lost somebody or has lost a job, or there's some kind of loss in their circumstances, which creates a lot of uncertainty and a lot of insecurity for them on many different levels, especially on a financial level. This has come up quite strongly for this person. And I feel that, all of their energy is going into making themselves feel secure, making themselves feel that they have certainty in their world, and they can't deal with the uncertainty of not knowing how you really feel or where it's really going. And so the only way they can kind of pull things together and get things back into shape is to really look after themselves, where they go into a self-protective mode to establish their footing, both materially and psychologically, and also from a feeling point of view. I think that's going to be difficult, because if I come down here to the Magician and the Four of Cups, I think, you're at a point further down the line where you're really feeling, you want to give this a go. But now all of a sudden you've got somebody who's become unresponsive to you. They've closed down, and there's a real sort of dissatisfaction as to the kind of, I guess, the lack of interest, really. The Magician is a card of motivation. It's all about manifestation, focusing on the potential of something that's before you and striking it into action. And the Four of Cups is a card of resentment to some degree, but also it's a dissatisfied outcome. Emotionally, you're just feeling a bit fed up with the fact that this person's not meeting you on the same level. You feel that you've got something that you want to give it, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's almost like the boat sailed in a way. I feel really strongly here that it's time to communicate very clearly on a heart-to-heart level with this person. It's time to tell them how you really feel and about what it is that you really want with them. You've got to put the past in the past, and I think to some degree you've already done that, but I think you're very shy about expressing your true feelings. I don't know that it's about insecurity. I don't know that it's about vulnerability. I think it's just that you're not clear in your ability to be able to articulate what you feel in a way that is clearly understood. But that needs to be worked on. I feel that you can divert this outcome by reaching out to this person and having a heart-to-heart. It's just about being honest with each other. That's all it's about. There are some other factors to take into consideration. I pulled one final card here. Finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. I felt this was very strong in this reading. It's really interesting that this card has come up. I feel that there's a lot of uncertainty for this person that's really playing on their insecurities. It's a big distraction for them. It's really tipping things in balance of having to look after themselves in a way that's almost selfish, in a way where they're almost closing down and eliminating any other sort of uncertain potential in their life. Once again, I think this is where you need to have a heart-to-heart. You can be there for that person at a time of uncertainty. There's a lot of love here between the two of you, and I think that really needs to be tapped into in a way where you're communicating at a heartfelt level. I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. And on a final note, if you are interested in having a look at any of the other videos that I've posted, please do. Just to know that I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that I've already posted and keep an eye out for those up on the horizon. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading and we are looking at how the other person feels about you today. So let's jump straight in. And I think what I like about this particular pairing is that you're the complete opposites to each other, really. If I start up here with the High Priestess and the Ten of Swords, I do feel that there's a connection here already with the two of you. I don't think this is like a flirtatious pairing. I feel this is an established relationship of some sorts. And I don't mean to say that has to mean a long period of time, but I definitely feel that this has gathered a little bit of momentum and developed enough for you both to feel quite strong about each other. But here with the High Priestess and the Ten of Swords, I feel this is a good place to start with the other person. And I get a sense that, they've entered into this connection with you with quite a lot of baggage, actually. I think they were very unsure about where this could all go for the future. I think they've had a lot of uncertainty about what it is that they've wanted. I think that they haven't been able to make a commitment in a way where, you can plan anything. I think that's actually been quite difficult because they've just not really known what they've wanted. And there's just, for me, there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I think a lot of that has to do with their history, their background, about what they've brought to this particular connection. And for me, I feel that they've had a lot of difficulties in relationships with people. A lot of damage has been done in terms of trust. I feel that they have been left hanging more than once in a way where they just felt really betrayed, really let down. And, it's really affected the way that they see people. And so trust is really a big issue for this person in a way where they're just very cautious, about what they're getting involved with, really. The Ten of Swords is a card of defeat. It's a card that is very dramatic in some ways, it really points to the worst case scenario in terms of people letting you down. But it's also a pretty dramatic card, there's a lot of drama in this card because at the end of the day, the damage has already been done and a new day dawns. And so in some ways, it's a bit of a case of get over it. But if you're suffering from the pain of what's happened and you're still very much in that, then that's really still something that you need to contend with. So I do feel that this person's had a lot to work through. You know, they just haven't been on stable footing in terms of being able to, and you know, the swords are all about conflict and issues, you know, usually relating to people. And the High Priestess is a card of uncertainty. You know, it points to the future, but it's not a card of clarity, you know, like it's a veiled feature of, you know, trying to understand what's up ahead, you know, based on the way things are rolling now. You know, we don't really know what's around the corner. We get a sense of it. So they're intuitive. This is a very intuitive person, very sensitive person, very sensitive to things that can go wrong. I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel that you've got your hands full with this one. You know, this is somebody that is very much the glass half empty. And, you know, that can take a lot of energy, a lot to work with. But what you've also got on the other side of that is a very sensitive, very intuitive, very creative, very loving person. Coming down here to the Empress and the Knight of Pentacles, I feel these two cards are a really good start point to kind of like have a look at where you're at. And I think that, you know, when you've met this person, I think you've been in a really stable position, actually. And I think you are very methodical in your approach to dealing with things, with people, with projects, with your work. I think you offer an enormous amount of stability, you know, to this other person. I think you've been a great support to them. I think you've really helped to get them back on their feet. You just seem to know where you stand. You know where you're at. Look, the Knight of Pentacles is a real salt of the earth card. You know, it's about reliability and stability and to some degree predictability. You know what you've got with this card. There's not a lot of surprises. You know, what you see is what you get in a really healthy way, because it's very honest and, you know, really upfront in a very practical way, you know, but it offers sort of, you know, continuity. And I think this is what you're like. You know, when you get involved with people, I think that you like the framework of relationships to be honest, really, you know, in a way where everybody knows where they stand. You're not a game player, is what I'm saying. The Empress is a card of productivity. I think you've been working really hard. I got a feeling when you met this person, you were working really hard to put everything in place in terms of, you know, security, you know, money in the bank, really trying to get everything ship shape and, you know, heading in the right direction in terms of your own security. I think you've been in a really good place. But it's also come at a time, I think, where you maybe you're a little bit bored with what's going on in your world. You know, the Knight of Pentacles is a very 9-to-5 card. It's quite predictable on that level, you know. So I think maybe you were looking for something to shake your world up, and you certainly got it. You've got this person who's come into your life with a lot of drama, a lot of activity, a lot to deal with. And I think that that's actually been, you know, in some ways probably quite refreshing for you, because, you know, you've got a lot to offer to this person. And you are a very nurturing person. The Empress is an incredibly nurturing card. It's all about motherhood. You know, it's about, you know, giving to other people. But I think this is a double-sided meaning also, because I think you've also been thinking about pregnancy and children. For some of you, not everybody, but for some of you, I think you've been thinking about kids and pregnancy and what you need to do to get things in shape to actually have that in the future. So a lot going on here between the two of you. A really nice match in terms of the way this is kind of yin and yang, you know, balancing each other out. And, you know, where's this person at now? If I come over here to the Sun and the King of Cups, you know, look, I think this person has really moved on in a very healthy way. Your influence has really helped them to get back up on their feet. I think the vibrations have raised up into a much healthier place. Their mental health seems to be really stabilized. And, you know, they've really grown in their feelings with you. The Knight of Cups is a card of love, devotion. It, you know, it shows enormous sensitivity. It's a very caring card. You know, it really wants to support another person or other people or circumstances in a way that is really through the heart. You know, this is somebody who is very honest at a heartfelt level, okay? You might have, other problems here in terms of, drama that flares up every so often. But, at heart, this is somebody who is right there in a way where I think that, that really appeals to your nature as a person. The question is, how do they feel? This person actually has really grown to love you, and they really have trouble expressing that. This is somebody who is quite withdrawn, very sensitive, at times very uncomfortable with feeling so close, to you. So much more in love with you than they probably feel comfortable with, is what I want to say, right? But it makes them really happy. And what I get here is somebody who has a lot of trouble expressing how it is that they feel about you. Now, where they're at the moment is that they've come to this point after a lot of contemplation. They've really sifted down all of their experiences from the past. They've really put all of this into order in a way where they've kind of moved on from it. They've healed. And they've given a lot of thought as to where you're at in terms of what is it you're wanting. And they really feel that they want to have children. The Sun is a card of happiness and high vibrational frequencies in terms of raising up to joy and euphoria. It's indicative of light and feeling that you're flooded with positivity, really. This person's gone from one extreme to the other. And, they've realized how much it is that they love you. But the Sun is also a card of children. And, so children is squarely children. The idea of children, this is, a feature that is squarely on the plate for them in terms of what they're hoping for the future. They really want to unfold this relationship in a way that builds towards having a family. And I think for me, I feel they really want to take the next step in terms of where that's all going. But what is really interesting, if I come down here and I see where you're at, we have the Devil and the Three of Swords. And, my sense is that something has flared up for you, okay? I think you are now at a point where you're questioning whether this is really what you want. I think that things have moved forwards in a really positive, very constructive way. You've both worked really hard together. I think you've gotten some amazing results in terms of showing growth together. There's been some really incredible rewards being together. But there's a strong sense that you're feeling that you want to cut away from this particular connection, that you don't want to go there anymore. And it's really interesting because I think, leading up to this particular point, you were all about putting things in place to settle down and to explore the idea of parenthood, having children, providing, stability and security in terms of, really growing into that framework. You've supported this person, you've been there for them, they've grown to love you. But I think it's brought up a lot of issues for you in terms of your past relationships. Yeah. There's a lot of heartache that you're still carrying from the past. The Three of Swords is a card that indicates suffering, sorrow, a heavy heart, burden with sorrow on our shoulders. And it's coupled with the Devil. And the Devil is about relationships that have uncertainty, that are restricted in terms of growth because there's not a lot of honesty there. And, I get a feeling that you have suffered in the past from a relationship that's really burnt you and caused you to feel really a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And I think what's really interesting is that this person is really beginning to show very obvious signs to you that they are very happy with you. And I think that this has really confronted you and led you to realize that in order to move forward, you have to open up your heart. But more importantly, you also have to resolve what it is that happened in the past. Yeah. And, I'm very interested to understand why this would be, because when you come back here to the Empress and the Knight of Pentacles, really when you look at what you've been doing, you've been I think you've been more focused on the maternal aspect of what's going on for you. I think you've offered an enormous amount of healing support for this other person. You've really helped them to get on their feet. Now they're showing you these really clear signs of love and devotion and wanting to unfold a life with you that is about giving you everything that you want. But I don't think you'd actually anticipated the idea of getting close to somebody in a way where you had to open up your heart and become vulnerable again. So that leaves us in a really kind of interesting position, because what happens next? What do you do? How do you resolve this? I think for you, my feeling is that you're wanting to pull back, you're wanting to close off, you're wanting to push this person away. I think it's become a little bit too confronting. You know, the idea that this person is now so buoyant and happy and wanting to bond with you at a really deep level. It's like, wow, it's almost like you weren't expecting it. My feeling is that if we move on here in terms of an outcome with this other person, I think they're going to pick up pretty quickly where this is all going. And this is a highly sensitive person, very intuitive. They're not stupid. You know, I think they have an emotional intelligence that is highly evolved, and you know, their psychic soul is very tuned in to what's going on, and they're very, very in touch with that process. They really trust their instincts. You know, they pick up on stuff. You know, I think that would be really confronting for you as well, because you're quite practical. You know what I mean? Like you're sort of nuts and bolts at putting things together in a way where I think you have really strong boundaries. Actually, you don't mind taking things slowly. You're quite thorough, and I think you know, for you it's about long-term investment over time where things need to prove themselves. Whereas this person just jumps straight in at the deep end, and they know how they feel, and they feel what you're feeling. And they have a very dynamic sort of interface on that level, you know, like it's so they kind of respond very immediately to this pain and suffering that you're feeling. And they flare up in a way where they become really stressed out. It kind of flares everything up that they kind of entered into this connection with. They begin to really worry, get very anxious about where it's all going. Their instincts flare up in a way where they feel very uncertain. Their mental health becomes really affected by this. They become really negative, really worried. The energy begins to really pull down very heavily. And, you know, all of a sudden you've got a very soupy situation to deal with. And that's very heavy. That's a lot to deal with. And for me, I feel, you know, it's going to get to a point where you need to make a decision one way or the other about what it is that you really want. You know, I think, you know, at the end of the day, you either love this person or you don't. If you love this person, you'll give this a go, and you'll make it happen in a way where you're coming from your heart. And at this point in time, I think you've closed your heart off. I think you've got a very strong set of defenses. You are practical for a reason. You are methodical for a reason. You take your time for a reason. You're very, very slow in your process for a reason. And that's because you don't want to feel the insecurity of losing your footing. So there's a very strong control element there. And I think that is something that really needs to be contended with, because I think you're feeling that if you open up too quickly, and this moves in a direction that really begins to open up your heart at a level that this person's really feeling, then, you know, you could get hurt like you did in the past. The past is in the past. You need to deal with that and draw a line under it. At the end of the day, this is about love. It's not about playing games. You're not a game player. It's time to be practical, but it's also time to be in touch with how it is that you really feel about this person. It's time to relax and enjoy the experience by just being honest. I feel that you will actually get through this process here with the Justice, and the 10 of Pentacles is about making decisions as to what it is that you really want. 10 of Pentacles is a card that really strongly points to family, having children, and, you know, the idea of money and security and extended family and enjoying everything that is involved with settling down into a really secure life that supports each other in a way that is about sharing, really, and having a good life, yeah, rich with security. Justice is a card of making decisions, and it's about putting our past into order and making a fair and just judgment on what it is that happened in order for us to move forward. And I think that in order for you to reach what it is that you want in terms of having family and security and reaching those goals, then you need to put the past into order, be honest with how it is that you feel about this person, and put their mind at ease. Otherwise there'll be a lot of suffering. You've got a lot to manage with this person, but I think you complement them in such a lovely way. You're very supportive, and I think that they actually give you the spice of life that's missing for you in terms of your own characteristics, in terms of your own self. You have a tendency to kind of err on the side of caution, and this person has a lot more of a sort of an unmapped, intuitive way of dealing with things, which is very refreshing for you. Express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. It's time to put this into order. It's time to reach out to this person. They really love you. Yeah? Get in touch with how you feel. Express your love. This person is willing to take it to the next level. Hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. And just on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that are already posted and keep an eye out for those that are up and coming. Thank you and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 4. This is your reading, and we are looking at how the other person feels about you today. So let's jump straight in. We've got the cards on the table. Starting up here with the Fool and the 7 of Swords. I feel that this is a new beginning for this person. I think they're trying to let go of everything that's happened leading up to this particular point. I think there's been quite a lot of issues that have faltered this connection in a way that has been very distracting for them. I think they're really worried that they've lost your confidence, that you think that they are going to fail or somehow let them down in a way that will bring everything back to how it was before. So there's a definite sense that they're worried about tripping up. I think they're worried about I think they also feel really worried about whether they have everything that they need for this new beginning. There's a sense of uncertainty as to whether things might go wrong. And, I question what that actually means, but the Fool is, a card of new beginnings. It's about letting go of responsibility. It's about being in the moment and just going with the flow. It's an uplifting card. It's really about following your intuition, and there's a definite sense of potential there. So I think on one hand, they're moving forward into, kind of a bright and uplifting potential. But on the other hand, it's coupled with the 7 of Swords. And the 7 of Swords is all about being caught out or being found out in a way that may put you into a negative light. It's also about taking things back. And if we look back, and we come back here to the past, because the Swords are all about going back to the past. Justice and the 7 of Swords kind of give us a bit more of a backfill as to what's going on here. And I think that this person has been really preoccupied with a lot of distractions. I think they've been working really hard, very, very professionally focused on their work. I think they've had a lot on their plate, in terms of contending with various demands, both with their job, but also externally to that as well. I kind of feel like they've really struggled to keep on top of things in a way that are about making a transition. I kind of feel like this person has been working very hard to get from one place to another. The 7 of Wands is all about making transitions, about going from one place to the other. It's also a card of work and keeping on top of demands at work. Maybe this person has been working really hard to get ahead to make a transition in their work. That might be about making progress in their career, getting a new job, or climbing the ladder in terms of building their skill set and their experiences. This is a very hardworking person. But I think they've really struggled. It's been a really long road. And I think these distractions have come at quite a great cost. I think they've been preoccupied with everything that's been on their plate in a way where they haven't been able to focus on the connection with you. I mean, justice is about a fair and just, assessment about what's going on. And I think they've had to come to a point where they've realized, I need to ask the big questions here as to where I'm going with all of this, because, I'm absorbed by all of these other demands. And, it kind of tilts things out of favor in terms of giving you what you need, and about making progress, to transition the relationship from strength to strength, as opposed to a stagnant state of just kind of like, pooling at one level and ignoring it. I get a feeling that this is a very intelligent person. They really do consider everything that's going on, a very hardworking person. And I feel, for me, I get this really strong sense that they feel that they have tripped up and that they know they need to start afresh with you in a way that shows you confidence that they can actually live up to the task, so to speak. Coming down here to the Empress and the Six of Cups, I think for you, leading up to this particular point, I think you've been really focused on this idea about kids. This is a very strong feature in this reading. The Empress is all about maternity and having children, about motherhood, the maternal instinct. I think maybe this has been really flared up for you in a way where you've really wanted to have kids. It's coupled with one of the strongest children cards in the pack, which is the Six of Cups. So this idea of having kids has been a really strong focus, wanting to have kids in a way that fulfill your, maternal or parental instincts. But the Six of Cups is also a card of uncertainty. There's a character in the background that makes us question as to, whether everything is right in this particular picture. It points to the idea of rose-tinted glasses, and, we want our children to be happy, and we do a lot to protect them from bad experiences that might taint or tarnish their experience of innocence. Bad things do happen, and, we want to protect, the vulnerable from bad things. And, the Empress is a card of productivity and results and outcomes in terms of, the idea of harvest, traditionally speaking. You reap what you sow. And I think for you, you've been very worried about the connection with this person, wondering whether everything is going to come home to roost in terms of your desires around kids, but also whether there are productive, happy outcomes, or whether this is a flawed connection. And I think because this person's been so focused on everything that they've been doing, it's really come at the expense of all of the things that are most important to you. And if we come over here to the Sun and the Page of Swords, I think, that kind of builds on this idea of worrying about things, questioning everything. Page of Swords is a cup of looking at everything in very, very, detailed form. It's a very analytical card. It questions what's in front of us, questions also to the past. So I think you haven't been able to let go of, the uncertainty that you've been feeling about whether this is going to be a productive outcome in terms of, the connection with this person. But the Page of Swords is also coupled with the sun, and, the Sun is about happiness, upliftment, joy. Maybe you're wondering whether you'll ever be happy with them, It's also a card of children. Maybe now you're questioning whether you want to have children with this person. I feel like you've lost your confidence with them. I don't feel that this person has shown you a level of continuity in terms of output that meets your heartfelt favor, really. You just haven't seen the results that give you the confidence as to whether this is heading in the right direction. And I think the two of you are on a really precarious footing at the moment. The Fool is on the edge of the cliff. And the Seven of Swords is waiting to be tripped up. I mean, I'm saying a guy. I mean, I'm looking at the Fool. It could be a guy or a girl or a them or a they, you know, like at the end of the day, this other person is, it's in a really precarious position. I kind of feel they really are just waiting to trip up. They're really worried that they're going to make the same mistakes again. They're looking back at their past thinking, do I have everything ordered to let go of everything that was going on before me? Do I have all of the security in place? Have I made the right transitions in terms of the work that I'm doing? Is everything in place so that I can, have a new beginning with this relationship and, fulfill its greatest potential? I think they're also fully aware of the fact that you've lost confidence in them to some degree, or to a great degree. They don't want to let you down. And you're worried that they're not going to fulfill that. So the two of you are feeding off of each other in a way that's become very negative. There's a great negative focus here, but at the same time, it's on a precipice, because on the other side of that is this enormous potential as to where this relationship, I'm going to say it's a relationship, so I kind of feel that this is where this is all going. This has the potential to unfold into something that's very fulfilling. Which brings us to the outcome of where this is all going. And if we look at the timeline for the person on the top here, I think it gets to a point where the next bend, the next turn, just over the hill, it's a new beginning in very different ways. I feel that this person has some really beneficial results that are going to be rewarding them in terms of their work. So their hard efforts will have paid off in a way where they are in a much more secure position. The Four of Wands is all about work and, outcomes that give you the opportunity to reap what you've sown. It's also a moment of reprieve to enjoy and to reflect on the good work that you've done. And there's recognition of good work in this card. And the two characters in the background are really indicative of the aspect of this relationship. I kind of feel that this puts a very different footing on the relationship of where things are going for the two of you. You're really included in this picture in a very positive way. So things are framed in a very constructive way, according to the efforts that this person has been putting in. I think they've tried really hard to transition everything to a really solid point that makes a lot of progress, that sets things up to fulfill what is you're really wanting here in terms of kids. I think they've worked quite quietly in the background in order to make that happen. I think at times they've really struggled to make that into a reality. And I think that they've actually had to make some really big sacrifices, around the relationship in order to... I wonder whether this person actually did a lot of travel. This is a transitioning card, the Seven of Swords. It's about going from one place to another. I'm wondering whether this person travels a lot for some of you. And this uncertainty that I pick up for you, I wonder whether you've lost confidence in this person because they're always away. Maybe they're traveling a lot and you're thinking, what's going on? They seem to be so busy all the time. How could they possibly... And why aren't I at the forefront? Why aren't I the first in line in terms of communications? Why aren't I prioritized? Why is it always their work? Is everything quite right here? So trust is a big issue for you. They know it. But I feel that this is turning a corner. And so the Wheel of Fortune is all about risk and gamble, but it's also about the next phase in our life. It's about what fate deals us. And it's coupled with the Four of Wands, and fate is dealing a really good hand here in terms of very prosperous outcomes in terms of work that give the opportunity to sit back and reflect. There's more time with this person around the corner. Where's everything going for you in terms of the timeline with you on this connection, in this relationship? The Lovers and the Nine of Pentacles. I feel that you are getting to a point where, as the corner turns, you're realizing that there is so much more in this relationship to unfold in a way where it's just sitting beneath the surface. The Nine of Pentacles is a card of latent talent. It's about what lays beneath, so it's all about the potential to unfold something that has, well, often it's about our own talent, but it's in connection to the Lovers. And the Lovers is about intimacy and relationships. It's your connection with this other person. There's been a lot that already has been established in a way that has underpinned the relationship with the ability to get to a point where you do have to make a decision about whether you're on board. And I feel that your confidence will be gained once this new hand has been dealt to the relationship in terms of the rewards for this other person, and this will give you a lot of confidence in terms of feeling that there is more to unfold. I really feel that you both haven't been connecting in with each other in a way that allows you to feel from a heartfelt level how you really feel about each other. You're both trying to do the right thing based on values. This person's trying to work really hard to get to a point to give you what you want in terms of the idea of what children and family are all about. And you've both been lost in this process, because you're so in the space of trying to fulfill the requirements of the framework of the relationship as opposed to how you really feel about each other on a day-to-day level. There's a lot of sacrifices that have been made here. And certainly this other person's in the firing line because they've been working really hard and been taken away from you in order to make that into a reality. Whereas I feel like you've been kind of left behind a little bit in isolation, and that's caused you to worry a lot. But I feel this is on a really good footing. And for me, I feel that the rewards are in the waiting. It's about investing into the long term, and that once it turns the corner, you'll get some really amazing results where the two of you will begin to unfold the feeling of the relationship, the love of the relationship, the connection. And so for me, it's still not quite there in terms of being really fully obvious, but this person's working hard for a reason. They're committed to you. They want to make it into a reality. They want to give you what it is that you want because they want to be with you. And I feel that there is a final card here that really sums this up. Worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. Timing, for me, is what this is all about. Fate is about to deal you a really good hand. The tide is about to turn. Good things are up ahead. Decisions are made to unfold this relationship in a way where it realizes its fullest potential. Love and the growth between the two of you has yet to be fully realized, but patience is needed. It's worth waiting for. I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, please feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am and what it is that I do and how it is that you can access my service. And on a final note, I release videos each and every week to YouTube, so feel free to browse the ones that are already posted and keep an eye out on the horizon for those that are up and coming. Take care and thank you very much.